So we're waking up today with a horrible migraine. I haven't had an easy life lately. Working at a school where there are no limits. So yesterday the kids decided to spray. They used cleaning material to spray the class. Nobody watches them. I'm supposed to only teach English, but then there's no adults there watching them at all. And they just do whatever they want. It's like being in Lord of the Flies. You know, children without limits and without a way behave in a very, very wild. And then I got a ball thrown at me. They play ball in the class, but they don't play outside. They only play indoors, and they have unlimited use of computers. They take away their phones, but they let them be exposed to screens constantly. And of course, when it's a choice between computers and going out to play, they choose computers. And it's really bad for them. And there's no adults there that making any decisions. I have a goal, like there's this much air for the class. The windows are completely shut and there's this much air. Instead of putting like, iron rods or something, because you've got to do something for safety, there's no air. And I'm at the class with this much air. So you can imagine that I get sick a lot. I got sick again. And I'm not complaining about my life. And then the Board of Education decided to give me a minus salary. They actually took away money. They deducted about 3,000 shekels for 3 days that I was ill in the other school. And I realized that it doesn't go for me. I've seen two extremes. One where the kids are treated like prisoners and are not allowed to go to the bathroom, not allowed to move, and they're yelled at. And another school where they can do whatever they want. They can throw a ball at an elderly volunteer without repercussions. There's no consequences, and the kids are always right, whatever they do. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. When kids at 4th and 5th class and 6th grade can do whatever they want, and there's no consequence. And then there's a system, and I write all the things they do. They put spray in my face, cleaning stuff one day, throw a ball. They just do whatever they want, and they're not supervised. There's no supervision. Anything can happen, and they're not supervised. And not to mention the teachers are not really experienced teachers. A lot of them have not even completed their studies. Well, I'm the last one to judge people according to their education. I have a feeling that there's no rules, there's no nothing, and it's just a big mess, and I'm really tired of it. Plus, they didn't pay me this month, so how am I supposed to pay for stuff? They don't think about that. I mean, do you know one person who goes to work when they don't get paid? And I'm sick. I've gone to school when I had migraines. I've taken pills and just gone. And now I'm thinking I have to take care of myself. I'm not getting younger. I have to take care of me and mine. I think I'm a good person. Whether I'm the best teacher in the world, I don't know. I definitely am not a great listener. I'm a great talker. That's what I do. I talk a lot, but I also know how to give assignments and make it interesting. And I definitely have a full command of the English language and Hebrew language, so I'm completely bilingual, and I will not make spelling mistakes. Or I got 100 on my matriculation, and I've got a master's in education from an American university. And I think I deserve a salary at the end of the month, don't you? Don't you think? I mean, who's going to pay for her medication? I am getting really panicky because I really depend on the salary for my livelihood and for giving my dog medication. And I also live in a state of war in Israel, and I'm thinking I'm on my own. I'm really on my own. If anything happens to this dog, she has epileptic attacks. And it started from a lot of reasons. Could be that I was disconnected from electricity by the electricity company after the fire, and the electrician connected me to the building and then disconnected, and then I had absolutely no electricity and of course my health suffered, and the dog's health as well. I'm sure there's a connection of living in dark and cold winter months last year. I'm not happy about what's happening in the Middle East, but I don't appreciate people criticizing Israel. I really don't. We're kicked out of the Eurovision. Do you understand me? Do you understand what kind of horrible people there are in this world that decide that Israel can't sing a song about what happened in October? What happened in October was a big trauma for all of us. I mean, we had a rocket fall across the street from here, and the only reason I can go out of the house today is because there are soldiers that die every single day. Every single day, our Israeli soldiers are dying, fighting monsters. People that trade in heads. They keep heads of Israeli soldiers in refrigerators. And they did horrible things to people and animals. They shot all the cows in the kibbutz, people who helped them, gave them medical help before Israelis. Israelis have to wait for receiving help. And they were giving special treatment, the people in Gaza, and there were people there helping them, and they shot dead a woman that founded the Women for Peace. And, people that were peace activists, they murdered Palestinians working in fields. And then they get support from most of the world. And I'm thinking, what a shitty world we live in. Not at all what a wonderful world. That was always I look at things and I think, what a wonderful world. Well, I don't feel like that anymore. I feel what a horrible world. The other day we met a dog whose ears were cut off in an Arab village of Khawara. Don't tell me not to generalize. Every holiday, Muslim holiday, is a Muslim of murder. Ramadan will mean terror attacks, and this is just the beginning. Ramadan didn't even start. Why do we have to fear Muslim holidays? Why can't we go to Jerusalem and know that we're not going to get shot at by some terrorists who lives there, and they claim our homeland? I mean, this is our land since thousands of years, and we have to apologize? These people came over when the British mandate was here. There were Arabs migrating from Syria and whatever. This land was almost empty. There was a Jewish majority here 150 years ago, and all of a sudden they're claiming genocide when their number is only increasing in Gaza. Since Israel evacuated Gaza, the number of people there only increased. They received medical help from Israel and everything. And then what do? They massacre us. And what they did to dogs, they train on dogs. Why would somebody cut dogs' ears off? Why would somebody do that to a puppy? A puppy. The dog was 2 months old, and he's such a sweet dog. He has no feeling of revenge. What kind of religion says that dogs are evil beings? Yes, Islam. And why do we have to lie about that? I'm not happy with any religion, to be honest. I find fault in every religion. But really, Islam takes the cake. They only began in the Middle Ages, and they claim to be the oldest religion. All of a sudden, they claim that the holiest places to Jews are theirs. They build a mosque everywhere. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then they demolish other people's history. In Acre, they buried all the archaeological evidence, and Israelis dug it up. It started with the British, actually. They dug up and they discovered this whole city that the Crusaders built, the whole system of hospitals and everything. When the Muslims took over, they just buried all the archaeological evidence. They buried it. So it had to be dug up again. And they destroy everything that doesn't go according to their little scenario of taking over the world. They accuse like 0.02% of Jews taking over the world. I mean, it's just unbelievable. A people that's given the world scientists and writers and poets and artists and comedians and musicians and who does the fucking world support? People, 20% of the world that's given nothing but terror. Nothing. Do you know any? Can you name a song composed by an Arab or Palestinian composer? Can you name one? Can you name a great book of literature written by someone? There's a few Egyptians. There's a few Egyptian writers, but other than that, do you know any Palestinian writer that gained fame about writing anything except the pity party that they cooked up by rejecting again and again a Palestinian state that was offered to them? Again and again, they reject. They can't even release hostages. Let's begin with that. We have people held in Gaza, and they keep heads in refrigerators. They're trading them in for money. Heads of people, of human beings. What kind of people do that? What kind of people cut off dogs' ears? And then you get all these people, free Palestine. Free for what? To terrorize everybody? I wake up in this world and I try to live and go to school and pretend nothing happens. But you know what happens? It affects everybody. Kids are traumatized. And it's also our corrupt system where a teacher can go to school and not get paid. You know? You don't pay a teacher, you don't get a teacher. That's what I say. I'm not feeling well today, and I'll be damned if I'll go with my stuffed nose and my migraines to teach now when I got nothing in the bank from the Board of Education. No excuses. If I don't get paid, I don't work, especially not when I'm sick. Are you okay, Shiva? Shiva's not really. Are you okay, Shiva? Well, I'm speaking. Shiva, are you okay? Shiva, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Yeah, she's just playing. It's okay, you're okay. But I need to not be negative around her. It's not about negative, I'm just being real. I'm just saying it's really hard for me to fathom that this is the kind of world my parents and my ancestors built. A world where we are victims of rockets from terrorists, you know? And I don't live in a border. I don't live in disputed land. I've been raised to respect Arabs and everything, despite what they continue to do to Jews, the massacres. I've never heard a bad word against Arabs ever in my home. Never, ever. And yet, after my father had to fight war after war, I was born into a war. I'm so tired of wars, but I'm so tired of people bullshitting. We're not doing anything to them. It doesn't go to say, oh, we're all guilty. We're not all guilty. People who rescue dogs are not guilty. There are good people on the other side. There are very few, but there are people who save dogs. There are people who care about animals and children and a good future. But in Israel, if you don't pay a teacher, you can't expect her to get up and go to work sick. You don't pay my sick leave. You don't give me proper conditions. Why don't you pay me a salary, Board of Education? Why don't you do that? What do you think I'm supposed to live off? First of the month, and I have a ridiculous amount of money coming in. They gave me 1,000 shekels this month for 100%. I work 100%, even though I'm older. I work 100%. I work more than 100% for my age. I'm supposed to be working 75% as 100% after a certain age. And they've paid me a fraction. They gave me what I should receive for 2 days' work for a whole month. And it doesn't go like that. I can't volunteer. And especially the kids don't have any limits in this particular school, and it doesn't work like that. You don't let kids rule. You don't let kids decide completely everything, and then you tell me to be the adult. So I'm supposed to be, the kids are allowed to do whatever they want, and then you tell me to be the adult? How am I the adult when the kids can do whatever they want? They can speak to me however they want, they can throw things at me, and there's no consequences. Well, I'm happy to report that I think it's very rare. I think it's only in this very privileged, wealthy place. I'll be damned if I'll teach kids of millionaires and not receive money for it. I've always worked with kids that come from very poor areas. And then I felt a purpose to my work, but not getting paid to teach kids of millionaires. I don't think that's what life wants me to do. I don't think that's what the universe wants me to do. I'm going to look for another line of work where I get paid. I come from, like, my grandfather used to run a plant. He used to give salaries. And I'm thinking, how did I get to this situation? How did I get to this situation where I'm not getting money? It's an abuse. It's an abuse. And I'm still bitter that the mayor of Tel Aviv, the elections, I was so happy. I had so much hope for women. Guess what? I told the kids there's only 2 women mayors. There's only one now. There's only one. There's only one woman mayor in the entire country of Israel. And we only have about 30 parliament members that are women. So women's issues are just like, why am I saying it? Because we're supposed to teach like 2 weeks of influential women. So I decided to teach about Rosa Parks. And then I thought about Rosa Parks, and I thought, what would Rosa Parks do if she didn't get paid? She would have said, hey, I can make the change. I'm not doing it. She refused to give her seat to a white person, and I refused to allow the system to abuse me anymore. I'm not supposed to work for no money. That's not how it works. Not when you depend on the salary. No, the Board of Education will pay me. They will pay me a salary, or they will not receive my services. That's how it works. You don't get paid, you don't work. If my daughter or my son would have told me they had no money this month, I said, you don't go to work until they give you the money. That's how it works. You don't wait for them to screw you over another month. You don't wait for people to screw you over. You don't allow anyone to screw you over. A misunderstanding, well, then they correct it immediately. Not 1 minute. No. And especially since I don't have proper conditions and there's nobody supervising the kids except me. There's no principal, there's no vice principal, there's no homeroom teachers. I'm supposed to come in there and teach them English. I'm not supposed to control everything that's going on in that school. And obviously there's nobody controlling. It's like kids can do whatever they want. They can just do whatever they want. And that's not how I see schools. Schools should give kids limits. Not only schools, everybody should give kids limits. Kids need limits. We all need limits. Problem is, in this country, there's a lack of limits. And sometimes it's really difficult. It's an overpopulated country, and people that don't respect each other, it causes a lot of stress. It causes me a lot of stress. I don't think I have another place to live in this world, not as a person who doesn't want to delete her identity. And why should I? Why should I delete my identity when people make up an identity? I don't believe there is a Palestinian people. I think there are Arabs that migrated, especially during the British Mandate. They came here for work. That's what history tells us. I don't see records of them having lived here for thousands of years, and not even for hundreds of years. And maybe there's a few families that lived in Jerusalem, but they definitely were not the majority in the 1800s. And all of a sudden, they claimed this land as theirs. Like over 22 Arab countries are not enough for them. And I'm supposed to erase my identity. I'm supposed to be ashamed of it. I'm supposed to not even have a song in the Eurovision because of them. Well, the Eurovision is a stupid celebration of some sort of trashy music. I've got to say, I grew up on celebrating the Eurovision. And this is one more thing that we have to let go. We have to let go of old concepts. We have to let go of old concepts. One of them, that school is a place of learning. The second one is that children are offered an education and not a babysitter. That the education system functions. You know, I grew up in a family of teachers, and I can't imagine my mother not getting her salary. She would have been furious. Doesn't happen. You know, she always said to me, don't volunteer when I wanted to volunteer. No, you work for money. You don't volunteer, especially when you need the money. And if it was my kids not getting the money, I would say, don't go to one day of work when you don't get money, especially when you invest so much. I think about school. School's not a job where you put your time in and you go home. You think about it and how I can do it better and what I can do for the kids. And when I get stink finger in my face, no money, no salary, no limits for the kids, I have to do everything on my own. Nobody's cooperating with me. And the last skeleton, or the last nail in the coffin of the education system in Israel is they completely eliminated special needs. So special needs kids they're supposed to be integrated. Integrating doesn't mean you put a kid with special needs in a large class and expect the person with special needs to function with loud kids with a large class. They have special needs. That's why they're called special needs kids. And they deserve to be in a smaller class with professional team that has been trained to deal with them. Not stick them in a class where other kids, where they go crazy as they do and do whatever they want. I've had very bad experience with one particular child who just walks in the class and accused me of weird things. And then I realized she doesn't have all her marbles. There's no excuse, family, whatever. She doesn't have any feeling of limits, and she does whatever she wants, and the kids cheer her on because they think it's great that she's like the clown, and she laughs at the teacher and sits in the chair and does whatever she wants and screams, and she screams and screams and screams, and I can't do anything, and there's nobody. And then the principal, why didn't you call me? Like, I'm supposed to call the school principal to intervene on a screaming child. There's other things. There's the homeroom teacher. Where's the homeroom teacher? Not there. Never there. Anyway, I have enough experience to know that this is not working for me. Not getting paid. And the yelling and the screaming of the kids is unbearable. And there's no air in the class. No air. To be in a room where there's this much air, the window is open this much, for over 30 people to breathe in. I'm sorry. No wonder I'm sick constantly. It's a place for bacteria to thrive, not pupils to thrive. And right now I'm going to dedicate my morning to my dog. I'm not feeling that great and taking care of myself. Making sure I drink enough water at least, and drink tea instead of coffee. This caffeine thing I've been doing, drinking coffee in order to survive this screaming children's class. I mean, it's not like the movies. Education is not a fun place. It's a horrible place for teachers. It's a horrible place for somebody who's educated and wants to do good in the world. And you come in and you see the reality is so different. It's so cynical. They only teach them to perform like monkeys on tests. And then you get criticized and you get like demonized for everything. And the kids are completely, they don't have to be accountable for anything. They don't have to be accountable for anything. Their behavior can be whatever. They can scream, they can throw balls. They don't have to do anything. And you know what? Maybe it is because they're children of millionaires. I don't know. All I know is that it's child abuse not to give children limits and not to tell them what to do. And we live in a very abusive part of the world. Yes, Shiva, we're going to go out now. We're going to get some fresh air. And I'm going to start my day. Anyway, thank you for listening.